This is my podcast, which I created for my question 4 as part of my evaluation on my media studies coursework, which was to create a production package for a new film, which included a trailer and a poster and a magazine front cover. In this podcast, I will be interviewed and answer questions based on the technologies I have used.
How did you use technology in this coursework?
My whole coursework is presented on a blog, which I used last year in my AS. I thought it was really successful as it sort of allowed me to add different pages and put things all together, so it was one big piece that was easy to access and look at on the internet. I used WordPress, which is a really handy website that makes making a blog really simple and easy. I managed to access it this year on my home computer, which is an Acer, and the school computer. I didn't use my Sony Vaio laptop from last year as it was awful at trying to download things and update things and would constantly crash and freeze, which took forever when I was trying to update my blog. It wasted a lot of time, and to be honest, it was more effort than it was worth. So this year I used different computers to access my blog, which made it much more simple and much quicker to do.
How did you use technology in the communications section?
Okay, so in the communications section, in technology was really, really important as I had to keep in contact with my partner Abby. As we shared most of the blog work together, it was really important to keep on track of what each other were doing and to make sure each other were doing the things that we'd arranged. So I used iMessage because we both had iPhones to text her and iMessage her to make sure we were both on the same sort of page, working to do things together, making sure they all get done on time. I also used Outlook on my school email account because it was really simple to get in contact with each other that way, as we could just quickly shoot across all of the files really simply, basically.
How did you use technology in the research section?
In the research section, I used such a large number of different technologies. Firstly, I used YouTube to look at deconstructions of trailers. I use this website because I used it last year. It's really easy to use. There is tons of information on there that's all free to access, and I could just stop it and start it and rewind it as much as I wanted, so I could get really detailed deconstructions. I also used Google, both the browser for the internet and also the image search engine, so I could find all the information I needed and get all the pictures I needed really quickly and easily. I use Facebook and Twitter to distribute surveys, which I did on SurveyMonkey, which is a really cool survey website that makes it really simple, and you can just email it out or post it on obviously social networking, which I found from last year was the best and quickest way to get good responses and a large amount of responses, because obviously lots of people my age sort of use it. I used IMDb website, which is the film sort of database website. I use this to look up posters and also all of my audience and institutions sections for my deconstructions. This is a really big database of all types of films, so I found all the information I needed pretty quick. I use Powtoon as it's a really good visual way to sort of present things that I found out, making my blog a little bit more interesting. So that was a good thing to use. I also used that last year, so that's why I knew it was a really good thing to use.
How did you use technology in the planning section?
In the planning section, I use PowerPoint. That's Microsoft PowerPoint, sorry. I use that to sort of create tables, which I then saved as JPEGs, or sort of lots of images all together in a montage and then saved it as one picture. This just made it easier to upload things onto my blog. I also use Word, as it was really easy to type all my stuff on there and then copy it across onto WordPress, because it has sort of spell check and all those things that are really handy when you're typing quite quick. Another thing I used was the website Free Play Music. I used this last year. I came across it when I was looking for copyright-free music to use, and there's loads and loads and loads of free music on there. You have to select a type of license, but due to me being a student and I was sort of just using it for personal use, I was able to use the free license. I emailed the company just to make sure that I was definitely doing the right thing because I didn't want to have any problems with copyright, and they let me know that I definitely was, and so therefore, because of that, I definitely used it again this year because there was so much to choose from, and obviously it was completely free.
How did you use technology in the production section?
In the production section, I had to create a magazine and poster. I did this in Photoshop, as it's a really good piece of software where you can layer up different pictures and text to create a final image. This means I could move things around and import lots of different things onto the same file. Eventually, you save it as a JPEG, which is a really useful file because it's an image file, which meant I could upload it onto my blog. I really liked the software. It was really high quality and really easy to use once I got the hang of it, because I'd never actually used it before. I used a Canon camera to take my photographs. This was a 5D MK3 camera. I used this to take all the photographs from my ancillary text. It was a really high quality camera which allowed me to take professional high quality photos, which overall gave me better finish on my Photoshop files. So it definitely looked really professional. In the filming section for my trailer, last year I used a flip cam, which is a very small camera which is very low quality, and doesn't actually connect to a tripod, so my shots were a little bit wobbly and a little bit blurry as well. This year I used a Canon video camera, which was an HFG 25, to film my footage, and this was much better quality, and I could also attach it to a tripod, so I got lots of steady shots. I used a voice recorder in my trailer last year. This is a really important piece of equipment, as it stopped all of the buzzing sounds when you get when you film voice on a camera, so I could dub over my voiceovers over the video that I'd taken to give a sort of more professional look to my piece.
How do you use technology in the post-production section?
In my post-production section last year, I used Movie Maker, which is a free Windows software, to edit my film. It was alright, but the software was quite limited, and I could only sort of have one video track and one audio track at a time, which sort of led to you not really being able to hear the voiceovers, and I couldn't really put any really difficult shots in. So my sort of film looked quite boring. So this year I decided to use Serif Movie Plus, which is a much more advanced software, so I had several different video tracks where I could sort of layer shots over different shots so it easily cut between the two, and I also used a green screen with a sort of old film noise type thing on it to give my film sort of a creepy look. I could just put this over the top and it would go over the top of my film without any hassle at all. I also had different audio tracks, which meant that I could put a voiceover and the sort of sound effects and the music and the trailer sounds all together in one, which sort of gave it a really professional look. This was much better than last year, as it was just let me finish my film to a much higher quality and higher standard. Last year I published my film onto YouTube. I did this again this year because it's free to do, really quick and simple. It doesn't really take much time to do and doesn't really take much effort either, which is really great because I could just leave it to upload by itself while I did other work at the time. So that was really good.
How did you use technology in the evaluation section?
In my evaluation section, I used several different types of technologies. I used Word as normal to make sure I had sort of typed them all the transcripts out well and spell checked them all before I put them onto my blog. I then used Powtoon. That was on my first question to sort of add a visual aid, which was really good because it sort of made it a little bit less boring and broke up the writing quite a lot. I did this podcast. I used a voice recorder for this. The same reasons really that I used it in my production section. Really high quality, used it last year, just overall really quite good. I also used a Prezi, which is sort of an animated slide thing on the internet. It's really good. I can have pictures and images and it sort of jumps between the screens. That was really good and it's really visual as well, so that's always a bonus. That was my podcast for my question for based on the technologies I have used. Thank you for listening.